Hi guys, how's it going today? I know I haven't read to you in a couple of days, so I wanted to do a quick read aloud, but I had something very important to tell you. I don't know if you guys have looked at the calendar or not, but you might have noticed that today was actually supposed to be School Picture Day. So since we missed School Picture Day, I have a very special book for you. It is called School Picture Day. And if you've been in my class in the past, you might have heard me read this before, but hopefully you hadn't or you don't remember it, so you can listen to it one more time. But this is one of my favorite books. It is by Lynn Plord, and it is illustrated by Thor Wickstrom. And what I'd like you to do real quick is tell somebody what the author and the illustrator does when somebody is publishing a book. And for that matter, what does it mean if a book is being published? See if you can either ask somebody about those things or if you can tell somebody about those things. So I want to read this book to you today, and I really hope that you listen all the way to the end, because I actually have a special assignment for you at the end of this book. So listen up and listen close, okay? So, School Picture Day. It was School Picture Day. Everyone was dressed in their best. Bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets. Everyone, that is, except Josephina Carolina Wadashina the First. Josephina didn't know it was School Picture Day. She didn't even know it was Wednesday. She had more important things to think about. On the bus ride to school, something happened. I wonder how this gear shift works, Josephina said. Squirm, shift, squeak, lift. After some highfalutin, fidgetin', fiddlin', fuddlin', and falooplin', Josephina finally figured out how the gear shift worked. Meanwhile, everyone wiped the grease off their bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets as they walked the last 3.5 miles to school. Oh goodness, I don't know if you can see this really good, but there's Josephina. She's trying to figure out how in the world this gear shift works. And now there they are, stuck on the side of the road. Oh my goodness. Hustle, bustle, hurry, scurry, said Mrs. Shepherd as she rushed everyone into her classroom. You're late and the photographer will be here any minute to take our class picture. Now, please, everyone, fill out the school picture form with your sharpest number 2 pencils. And no fiddling, she added with a glance toward, who do you think? You guessed it, Josephina. Everyone started filling out the forms after sharpening their pencils at Mrs. Shepherd's super fast plush deluxe electric pencil sharpener. Everyone, that is, except Josephina Carolina Wadashina the First. She had more important things to think about. Maybe you can see her. She's right down here. Yeah, fiddling with the sharpener. Wiggle, yank, jiggle, crank. I wonder how this pencil sharpener works. After some highfalutin, fidgetin', fiddlin', fuddlin', and foopelin', Josephina finally figured out how the pencil sharpener worked. Meanwhile, everyone brushed wood shavings off their bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets, and bun. They finished their brushing just in time. Here's the photographer, Mrs. Shepherd announced. This might be my favorite picture right here. Do you see Mrs. Shepherd? Yeah, she's brushing the dust out of her bun. Time to line up, you cutesy wootsies, the photographer scurried Mrs. Shepherd and all 23 children in the class into their places. The stand on the chairs row, the stand on the floor row, the sit on the chairs row, and the sit on the floor row. He put Josephina in the stand on the chairs row, and then he ordered, everyone say cheesy weezy if you pleasey. Cheesy weezy, went went 22 children and Mrs. Shepherd. But Josephina had more important things to think about. All right, so here they are. They're all lined up there, ready to go. Josephina lifted up a ceiling tile and muttered, I wonder how this sprinkler system works. Push, shove, push, above. After some highfalutin fidgeting, fiddling, fuddling, and foopling, Josephina finally figured out how the sprinkler system worked. Meanwhile, 22 children, Mrs. Shepherd, and the photographer wrung out their bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets, bun and camera. Okie dokie, don't be a slow pokey. The photographer lined everyone up in their same exact places except Josephina. He put her in the sit on the floor row, then coaxed, TV weevies, let's see those TVs. 22 children and Mrs. Shepherd showed their TVs. But Josephina had more important things to think about. Pry, creak, rattle, peek. Josephina lifted up a floor vent and muttered, I wonder how this heating system works. After some highfalutin, fidgeting, fiddling, fuddling, and foopling, Josephina finally figured out how the heating system worked. Meanwhile, 22 children, Mrs. Shepherd, and the photographer stomped the soot off their bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets, bun and camera. Hey, does anybody know what soot is? Soot, it's kind of like if you burn a fire, you have, even if you have a campfire outside, when the wood or whatever burns up and it makes that ash, that black stuff in the bottom, that's soot. One more time, you sweetie pies. Just watch my little birdie. The photographer got out his special wind-up, flashing, squawking, talking bird and lined everyone up back in their same exact places, except Josephina. He put her in the sit on the chairs row, then begged, Birdie wants a cheesy, cheesy, measy, wants a cheesy, cheesy too. Cheesy, 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 went 22 children and Mrs. Shepherd. But Josephina had more important things to think about. And so here they are. I'm brushing off all the soot. Josephina sat in her chair muttering, I wonder what makes this special wind-up, flashing, squawking, talking bird work. Fluff, poof, crank, kerzoof. After some highfalutin, fidgeting, fiddling, fuddling, and foopling, Josephina finally figured out how the special wind-up, flashing, squawking, talking bird worked. Meanwhile, 22 children, Mrs. Shepherd, and the photographer plucked feathers off their bows and bow ties, sashes and suspenders, jewels and jackets, bun and camera. The photographer yelled so loud that everyone could see all the way down to his toe bones. This time, Mrs. Shepherd and 23 children froze. No cheesies, no TVs. But they were all looking at the camera. The photographer hurried to push the button. Screamed the photographer. My camera doesn't work. Then fix it, said 22 children. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how it works. All I do is push the button. You can't fix it, gasped Mrs. Shepherd. We won't have our school picture taken. 22 children sobbed. Nosy wosy. The photographer shook his head. Josephina held the camera, muttering, I wonder how the highfalutin, fidgeting, fiddling, fuddling, and foopling, Josephina finally figured out how the camera worked. "It works," said Josephina. "Nice fiddling," Mrs. Shepherd smiled. "Sweetie Munchkin Pumpkin Pie, show me," begged the photographer. "Okay," said Josephina. She lined everyone up back in their same exact places except the photographer. She put him in the lie on the floor row. Then she pushed the time delay button on the camera, ran to her place, and simply said, "Smile." 23 children, Mrs. Shepherd, and the photographer all smiled. Several weeks later, the school pictures arrived. Mrs. Shepherd asked Josephina to hand them out. Josephina had more important things to think about, like her new spaceship science project, but she passed them out anyway. Everyone was pretty pleased, but all the parents did wonder, who was that new big kid in Mrs. Shepherd's class? There's the new big kid. And that's the end. So I thought maybe we could do something kind of clever. Since you didn't get to take your school picture today, maybe if you had a cool special outfit, maybe you could go ahead and put that special outfit on, and maybe your parents would want to take your home school picture, and they might want to post it on Facebook for everybody to see. Just an idea. If not, maybe you could draw what you think you would look like. Draw a self-portrait of what you think you would look like for your school picture day. I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye.